Alice and I'm a clinical Western herbalist, and today I'm going to show you how to make an easy to produce tea for digestive health using things that you already most likely have at home. Did you know that things found in your spice rack is actually medicinal, has medicinal properties? So you basically have a whole apothecary at your fingertips. Today we're going to be working with coriander seeds, fennel seeds, nutmeg, and chamomile. So I know chamomile is not something that you have in your spice rack, but I'm sure that most of you actually do have chamomile tea at home, or at least a tea bag that has chamomile in it. I really urge you to go ahead and purchase some loose leaf chamomile, because the difference between what you'll find in a tea bag and what you can find in bulk is night and day. Just take a look at this amazing color and texture of our loose chamomile. So really well worth it. And not only that, if there was one herb I had to choose to have forever and that was it to treat myself for all sorts of things, believe it or not, it would be chamomile. I know people are like, really? Chamomile? That's such a boring herb that everybody knows about. But actually there's a reason that everybody knows about it, right? There's a reason that everybody has it in their house, because it's so good for so many things. It's great for digestive health, it's great for nervous system health, it's great to use topically for inflammation, even treating things like an eye wash, using an eye wash for conjunctivitis or pink eye. So, you know, one of actually the most well-rounded herbs that we have, and it's so easily found and, you know, easy to come by. So definitely recommend having this ally in your kitchen if it's something you don't already have. We'll also be using some honey. So our spice rack herbs are such great helpful allies for digestive health, because pretty much all of them are something that we call a carminative. Now, a carminative is something that helps your digestive system deal with things such as bloating and gas. So in herbalism, we say that it moves wind, and that can be ascending wind, so burps, or that can be descending wind, or, you know, passing gas or farts. So carminatives are your best friend to add into any kind of heavy or rich foods, or even just after meals if you feel like maybe you went too far or you ate something that's not totally agreeing with you. This tea that we're going to make today is going to be super, super helpful and actually really yummy. So to begin, I've heated up some water in my teapot already, and I've got my lovely tea vessel here. Now, of course, you could put this directly into a teacup and strain it out, or maybe you have a tea ball, something else. This is just what I'm using today, but you could use anything that you can get your hands on or is available to you. And, you know, when you formulate teas from your spice rack, a good thing to do is to think about the intensity of the flavor. So we know coriander, which is related to cilantro, if you didn't know, and fennel seeds are quite strong in flavor. So these are going to be kind of the smaller parts of our tea. Chamomile is going to act as a good kind of all-around base. Now, if you didn't have chamomile but you had peppermint, you could substitute this in instead. Peppermint and fennel go really well together. In fact, actually I love peppermint, fennel, and chamomile all together is super great. But this tea today, using coriander, fennel, and chamomile, and we'll add nutmeg in a different preparation that I'll show you after we get the tea going, is not only great for digestion, but it's really anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and like I said, it just tastes really yummy. So we're gonna do simple measurements. I'm gonna make about 2 to 3 cups worth here. So we'll just talk about parts. I'm gonna use basically a tablespoon. Actually, I'm gonna use my tablespoon. A tablespoon of chamomile. I'm gonna do 3 tablespoons of chamomile because I'm making about 3 cups. So we'll say a tablespoon per cup. Since fennel is quite strong, I'm gonna use a lesser part of that. So I'm gonna take a teaspoon and I'm gonna put 1 teaspoon of fennel. For my coriander, I'm also going to use 1 teaspoon. So you can see what's going on in my vessel here. So I'm gonna just pour my hot water over my loose leaf tea that I've concocted. And when you make a medicinal infusion, really ideally, you want to cover your tea. So either, fortunately mine comes with a handy dandy little lid. You could also just put a plate on top of your teacup that you're using. But it's really important to put a cover on your medicinal infusion. You're trapping in some of the constituents called volatile oils that make the tea so effective as a carminative. And also you want to brew herbal tea for around 10 to 20 minutes. So a longer time than you might think. I like to go around 15 minutes typically. So while this tea is infusing, I'm gonna set it to the side and then I'm gonna focus on my nutmeg. So nutmeg is also a carminative. It's also very warming and also considered sort of an aphrodisiac. So basically it encourages blood flow into the center of the body, and that can be really helpful for dispersing nutrients and just processing your foods, right? So we want to be moving into a rest and digest place when we've just eaten and not a fight or flight place, right? And nutmeg really helps us do that. And it's just super, super yummy. It's gonna make a nice addition. So what we're gonna do is sort of an electuary. An electuary is essentially powdered herbs infused in honey. So we're just gonna kind of whip up sort of an electuary. There's different kind of methods to this, but at the end of the day, it's just honey and powdered herbs. So I'm just gonna be making just enough to have in our tea today. So I put a generous spoonful, that's probably a tablespoon. And then I'm gonna add in about a teaspoon of powdered nutmeg. That's kind of a lot. I mean, you could go even lower. You could do a half teaspoon because it is quite strong. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a half teaspoon. Like I said, you can just sort of eyeball these and just think about the intensity of flavor as you formulate and come up with these spice-wrapped tea blends. So sometimes you might make some last-minute adjustments like I did. So that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna stir this all together as much as I can. This honey is a little bit thick right now, so I might have to even add in a little water to get where I need to go. But essentially I'm stirring this all into kind of a paste with my nutmeg. So what this is gonna do is add extra flavor using another spice in my spice rack and more medicinal value. And the great thing about honey is it's a really great preservative. So if you've got herbs or spices that seem like they are at the end of their life cycle, which is generally 1 to 3 years, infusing them in honey is a great way to get a longer lifespan out of those herbs, because it will actually help preserve them for longer. So I've got my nutmeg pretty well mixed in. Now we're just gonna wait for our tea to finish infusing. Okay, so it has been 15 minutes and our tea is ready to drink. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pour a cup for me and my lovely camera operator, who just happens to be my mother. Looks good, lovely golden color for our fennel, coriander, and chamomile tea. And I'm gonna add a little bit of our Electuary, our nutmeg herbal Electuary. Probably don't need much, just a little to sweeten it and add a little bit of flavor. So I'm just gonna stir that in. Pretty good. It's really warming, kind of earthy. You get that little chamomile hit that kind of lays underneath the bottom, but it's really supported by this kind of aromatic and delicious fennel, and you can kind of get the coriander, but I feel like it's mostly like a fennel and the nutmeg really popping through. I think it's delicious. Cheers.